Okay, hold up. Okay, hold up. Let me know if any of you got that reference. Anyways, my name is Trey Francis. I am a creator, and here I am fostering a space where we all can create regardless. Like I told you guys before, I am a screenwriter and an actor, and so during this quarantine, during this space, this time of nothingness, if you will, I still wanted to create, I still wanted to put out content, I still wanted to do something and talk about things that I love. So here goes. So in this video, we are going to be reviewing season 1, episode 2 of Lovecraft Country. And if the first episode didn't hook you in, which I don't know how the first episode didn't hook you in, because literally I liken this to being our Stranger Things, just to be frank. It's like our Stranger Things. This is a show that I would love to, like I said in the last video, I would love to, look at me, star. Trying to move other people out of the way. I would love to act in this series, and I would also love to be a writer on this series. Like either or would like tickle my fancy, because both are like quality. Both are like exceptional. But anyways, let's get into this review. So this episode was titled Whitey's on the Moon. So I'm going to be holding my notes, because I have some notes right here. So I'm going to hold my notes so I can keep, Anyways, this was titled Whitey's on the Moon. And I was just like, wait. I heard of this before. And so I did some research. Of course, I believe a few of us may have heard about this, may have learned about this in school, may have stumbled across it some other type of way. I personally have heard about this. Whitey on the Moon, Whitey on the Moon, right? So without the S, is a song/poem, if you will, by Gil Scott-Heron. He was a Black American soul and jazz poet, musician, and author. And so this is a very famous and prominent poem/song, because it's very spoken word-ish by him. And so if you haven't heard it, go and check that out. But this is a little tidbit. So that's the title of this. And so if you listen to that and then you want to come back and watch this, and or of course go back and watch the episode, you'll kind of piece some things together. But anyways, so the opening image for this particular episode, we see Letty and George. They're enjoying themselves, right? They're enjoying the finer things in life. Every time Letty opens up a closet or a wardrobe or a cupboard or whatever the case may be, all these different fashions are in there, right? She can find anything, and anything that she tries on, it fits her like a glove. Over in George's room, because they have them in separate rooms, over in George's room, George just sealing the floor bookshelves with just thousands and thousands of books in it, like all of his favorite authors, his favorite books that he's read in the past. All of these things, you know what I mean? So basically these rooms are like alluring to them, you know what I mean? Because they're prisons, but you don't mind being in this prison, right? Because of these things that they can offer you, right? So they're giving you the things that you most desire, you most like. And we've already seen Letty, outside of being in this room, she dresses down. And then we know that Uncle George in his workshop back home for his car, like his car shop, he also had a wall of books and things like this. So we already know that that's something that he loves, right? And then when we jump over to Atticus ain't with the shit. Atticus can't seem to stop thinking about the night before with those fucking 8-foot monsters in those teeth. Like, that's all he can think about. And so I'm looking at this thinking, like, something must be going on, because why is he the only one who's still thinking about this and everyone else has moved on just because there's some things in front of you? I mean, I like clothes too. I also like books, but that's not gonna make me start remembering. That's not gonna make me forget about what went on last night. I almost fucking died. So anyways, so then all of a sudden, William, with the blue eyes and the blonde hair, he comes and he basically tells them, hey, it's lunchtime. We're gonna take you over to the veranda, enjoy this lunch, and then what we're gonna have you do is come back, you need to be back here later tonight for dinner, because everything's going down at this dinner. So if you ain't back by here, we're gonna come catch you just like slave catchers, and we're gonna bring you back to this house so that you can participate in this ceremony that's about to go on later on tonight. Right? So he comes and he gets them for lunch. He tells them he'll have to wait until the owner of the house, which is Mr. Brathwaite, you have to wait until he returns. So they're asking some questions like, where's my father? Bring him back to me. And he's like, you know what? I don't know what business he has with your father. You're going to have to ask him. And you know what? Even if I did know, it would be above me. You know, I can reveal everything. Like Mr. Brathwaite, he's going to want to come in and say some stuff himself. And I'm going to start calling Mr. Brathwaite Mr. B until he gives himself a name that I'm going to refer to him as that name just so you get where I'm going with when I switch his name. But I'll let you know. So then once he leaves them at their lunch, Atticus realizes that Letty and George don't remember anything from the night before. They're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember no monsters. I don't remember being out in the woods. I don't remember blood. I don't remember our car being fucked up. Like, I just remember waking up in this luxurious mansion with all these clothes, with all these books. That's about it. So Atticus is kind of getting annoyed with them, and he's questioning them, and the uncle realizes that someone's watching them, so he's like, sit your ass down, boy. There's people watching us, like, don't cause anything. As far as we are concerned, they've been treating us nice so far. We don't want to give them a reason to do otherwise. So sit your ass down. And so he sit on down. And after they eat, they get up because they told William that they were going to go look at the fairgrounds, or whatever you want to call it. I call everything a fairground. They want to go look at the village. And so as they're walking around the house, they're about to leave, they notice that their car is in perfect mint condition, right? It's in the garage. And they stop, and Letty and George, they're just like, what happened? I thought you said that our car was this, and this, and this. And of course, here comes William. He always seems to appear out of nowhere. So here comes William. Oh, well, we found it on the other side of the bridge. And Atticus was like, not like this. This car was fucked up. And he was like, well, it wasn't fucked up when I found it. I actually drove it back like this. The only thing that I noticed about it was that there was blood on the inside. However, I had, some people come and clean it up. And so here it is. He throws the keys to George and he's acting as if nothing has happened, right? Trying to confuse them. So Atticus isn't with the shit. So he's like, let's go. We're going to go peruse. And so they leave. As they're out on the village, it's getting, time is passing or whatever the case may be. Letty and George are just like, is he suffering from PTSD? Like, what's going on? I don't think this is what, everything, like, he's talking about monsters. Like, I think he's losing it, basically, right? He's like, I'm not losing it. I know what I saw. I don't know why y'all can't remember. And then as he's trying to get them together, out of the, off in the distance, he hear the whistle. You remember that whistle that was in the previous episode where when the whistle blew, those monsters that was about to fuck them over, they dug themselves back in the ground and they scurried off, right? Right. So Atticus hears this whistle. He's like, hey, guys, that's the whistle from the night before. And he starts running towards this whistle. As he runs towards this whistle, we see this lady outside of the tower with her dogs. And he runs up to her and he's like, hey, were you out in the woods last night? I know what that whistle is. And she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but you need to get the fuck from around me and go back, to where you came from. And they're like, hey, we're guests of Mr. B. Like, we can be here and we got some answers. Like, they're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, oh, is this the jail? Like, let us in and let us take a look around. So, of course, she lets them in. They look around and she's basically like, you know what, y'all getting a little bit too curious and that's not good for your health. So what you better do is make it back to this dinner before sundown. I'm just like, this dinner better be well prepared. It better be well seasoned. And there better be some vegan options. Because I'm tired of them talking about this dinner as if it's everything. This dinner better be bomb. If this dinner ain't bomb, I'm over it. So anyways, they're talking about this dinner, and she warned them about sundown. Remember in the other episode, we talked about sundown. We know what happens at sundown. Apparently, at sundown, the creatures, the freaks, come out at night. So if you ain't back inside at sundown, it's going to be a problem. So they leave, because she was intimidating. So they get the fuck up out of it. Uncle George is like, let's go. So as they're walking through the woods, Uncle George kind of hears something, some rustling in the wind. The sun is starting to set, and he stops. And they're like, Uncle George, like, what's going on? And he begins to tell them about this story that Atticus's mother told him about it. Atticus is like, well, my mom didn't tell me or my father about her side. Like, what you talking about? And essentially the story is, some distant relative, right? I think it might have been, I don't know if it was her mother or whatever it may be, that wouldn't be a distant relative, I know, but I'm going with distant relative because I can't remember who she said it was. But however, someone within his lineage was treated very well, right, by Mr. Brathwaite. And so they ended up leaving basically this mansion in the woods, where it is, and running through the woods and trying to get away and trying to escape. And that's been the story that they've told. And so they get the ideal that, okay, Atticus have some of that lineage, right, within his blood, and because, you know, back then they would rape their slaves and things like this. We know these things, right? So he comes from this bloodline. There's a huge possibility, right, that he comes from this bloodline. So then as they try to go back, they start to hear like this rustling in the ground, and like the ground starts to, these monsters, of course, from the night before, they come up out of the ground. They're about to attack them, and as they're about to get eaten alive for being out in the woods, for being disobedient, we hear the whistle sound again, and out of the blue comes the same lady, right? The same lady who saved them the other day with her car when she got in between them and she flipped the other car, right? That same lady, she's back in the woods, she blows the whistle, and the things scurry off again, right? The monsters are gone. And basically we find out that her name is Christina, and she is the daughter of Mr. B, who is the owner of this home who they're waiting for. So we also see the lady from the tower, that's her name now, with those two guard dogs. We see the lady from the tower, Christina tells her, hey, escort them back to the mansion and keep them in their rooms. So that's what they do. So when they get back, Letty and George, Uncle George, they're escorted off to their rooms. However, it's time for Atticus to meet Mr. B. Mr. B is currently in the middle of surgery. His ass screaming because they've taken out what looks like a kidney or a spleen or something, right? And they're going to save this for later. Remember this. So they take it. They escort it off on some ice. They suture him up. Sorry, look at my neighbor. They suture him up, and he gets up from the table as if nothing happened. So he gets up, he starts looking at this painting on the wall. He's talking about Adam and Eve, and basically Eve is supposed to be like this evil person who got them kicked out of the garden. You know, all this kind of stupid stuff, but I never liked this story. But anyway, they talking about it. And as they're talking about this parable, right, he's being like, these are parables that you can live your life by. It's not supposed to be taken literally or whatever case may be. Atticus is like, so I'm assuming you think you're God in this parable, right? He's like, no, I don't think I'm God. I think I'm Adam. And I'm going back to restore things the way that they used to be, right? There used to be a hierarchy of people, and that's what I like. I like this hierarchy where I'm at the top of the food chain, and all of you other hoes, y'all below me. So that's basically what he's about. And as Atticus goes to like reject and kind of say some stuff, he basically tells Christina, take him back to the dungeon, like I'm through with him. Bring him out once it's time for the ceremony. And so that's what Christina does. So as Christina is escorting Atticus back to his room, she's talking to him and she's like, hey, you know what? You should probably try to make some friends with us. Like, not all white people are out to kill y'all. Like, not all of us are like that or whatever case may be. And Atticus was like, you know what? I have enough friends. However, if you want to be my friend, how about you take this spell? I know you got my friends, right? I know you got Letty and Uncle George under the spell. How about you release them from the spell if you really want to be my friend? So, with a snap of her finger, the spell comes off and she's like, there. And as the spell is released, we hear Letty and Uncle George, they started screaming at the top of their lungs because they remember what happened the night before. They're in terror. It was a horrible experience. And so, a traumatic experience, right? And so they're screaming. As Atticus goes to save them, we get this force field, right? He can't get out. And so he looks at her like, can I say it? Shout out to Snoop Dogg. Can I say it? He was like, you. That's what he wanted to say, right? But she's just like, I'm sorry, you gotta wait in here because we need you for this ceremony tonight. So then she walks off and let me just find my notes. Jackson back to I said she escorts them back to the plantation. Hilarious. Oh damn, I'm getting through this. Hey. So So basically, yes, Tig is trapped in his room, Atticus is trapped in his room, and now they all remember everything. So then a boy runs up. He's like, Mrs. B, it's time. And so Christina, she runs out to like this manger, if you will, this barn or whatever. And there's a cow in there. I'm like, oh, they're going to deliver a baby calf. Like, you know, what? Like, you know, they were talking about Adam and Eve and the animals and so I'm thinking like this is sort of some ritual sort of thing. You deliver a baby and whatever. So she gets up in there. She's elbows deep. She fisted, double. And so she's in there and they like, pull, deliver the calf. And so she pulls, and out comes one of them fucking monsters. And she's holding it and she's caressing it, and it's like her baby or whatever case it is. I'm just like, oh, okay. So now what, these monsters fucking cows, I don't know what's going on, but whatever. So then we go back and we go back upstairs. Next thing we see is Atticus. He shows up at Letty's room because Letty was trying to get out, right? And so he plunges through the door and Letty's like freaking out, like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't believe you. Like, I remember now. He's like, yeah, I know you remember. But comes, and she's like, we got to get out of here. He's like, well, we got to devise a plan because they got us trapped in this hole. So we got to devise a plan. He's like, come sit down with me and talk. And as they go and sit down and talk, and as Letty's trying to collect her thoughts, we kind of get some backstory from her, right? Which this is some good ass writing. Because remember the episode before where Letty's sister and her brother were basically told her, hey, you can't really stay around here because you didn't come to our mother's funeral. And I was sort of like hypothesizing that maybe it had something to do with how, you know, Letty possibly having a different father, because as we notice, you know, it's just something that we see, right? On screen, Letty is obviously lighter skinned than her other siblings. However, we know now in present day, you can be born in a family of multiple siblings, and y'all all can come out in different shades and things like this. We understand this, right? I have 7 siblings. I got a big ass family. We are a variety of shades. So back then though, you know, things happened, and then that's how people was looking different back in the day. But anyways, that's just what it was. So that was my hypothesis. However, Letty sits down and she explains to him, hey, when we were younger, my mom used to go off and she used to tell me that she would be back. And at first she did come back, and she would always come back with a different man on her arm or whatever case it be. And then one day she just did not come back. And so we understand that through this, like, Letty was like, I had to defend myself, I had to take care of myself, and I didn't know how, right? And so, you know, particularly as a child. And so Letty has like abandonment issues, you know what I mean? And Atticus, like, in this moment, he's like, hey, I'm never gonna leave you. I'm always gonna be by your side. And I'm just like, oh, that's sweet. However, something seems off about this, because then we jump over to Atticus's room, and he's in, not only is him and Letty just have this K-I-S-S-I-N-G in the tree moment, he's also in his room. So I'm just like, okay, some fuck shit is going on, but let's ride with it. So as he's in his room, he's basically like trying to give a code, right, to his uncle, and basically his uncle has spelled out wizards based off of what this code that Atticus was sending him. And then out of this, all of a sudden, on the other side of his cupboard, Atticus hears this marching sound, right? This marching, like troops. And so then he hears a gun like cock or whatever the case may be. I don't know about guns and stuff, y'all. So if it's cock, whatever it is, a gun. And so he runs for cover, and he jumps on the other side of his thing, and out comes, it's literally like he's back in the war. This Korean lady comes out, she's shooting, boom, boom, boom. They get up, they boxing it out. At first she has the advantage, and then she about to kill him, and he's like, I will not be murdered. And so then he starts to fuck her up, right? So then we jump over to Uncle George's room. As Uncle George goes, he sees his book on the shelf, which I love Uncle George. He be figuring shit out. Uncle George is he's the Hermione of the three. I don't want to use that reference because I know, but don't kill me for it. But I'm just like, he's like the Hermione of the three. Since we're in this mystical, magical, you know, different type of world in these three, he gotta give me that. So as he goes to pull his book off the shelf, this door opens to like the basically like where the Order of the Sons, whatever case it be, they would have their meetings were held. And he sees this book that is basically like their bylaws that kind of explain everything. You know, he loves to read, and so he takes his time to read it. So then we jump back over to Letty's room, and it looks like it looks like a moment from the past, right? Where her and George were going to do, and it wasn't something that Letty wanted to do. Then we come back over to Atticus's room. She's panicking. That's what I mean by that. So we jump back over to Atticus's room, and Atticus, he finally defeats this soldier. He kills her, and then we jump back over to Uncle George's room, and I believe it was his ex-wife who died. So not his current wife, if he's remarried her, but his ex-wife. She died, and he's like, this can't be real. And she's like, I don't care. She's like, it doesn't matter. Just dance with me. And so they start dancing, and as they're dancing, they're kind of having this talk. And then finally he's like, no, you're not real. You gotta go. So once we zoom out of the room, we see all of the order have arrived. All of these white men, right, in suits. They're laughing at them because, the screen is still up so they can see into the rooms. And to them, we look crazy. So I'm just like, oh, okay, y'all playing games. Okay, wait till we get up out of here. So y'all want to play games now? Okay, but wait till we get up out of here. So then the bell rings and, symbolize, the screen, if you will, goes away. The force field goes away, and everyone walks out of their room, and they're all like, okay, so what happened to you? What did they make you see? What did they make you go back to? And as they're trying to discuss, of course, William appears. Like I said, he's like an apparition. He just appears out of nowhere. He appears. He's just like, hey, dinner's gonna be served in 15 minutes. However, Letty, you can't come. This is only for men, and it's a black tie affair. However, it's a perfect evening to go eat out on the veranda. I'm like, the veranda? Hey, lunch there. This whole place, you can't serve me dinner somewhere else? Oh, okay. Boy, bye. So anyways, as he walks away, Uncle George is like, hey, you know what? I got a plan. I figured out some shit, and we're going to devise this plan, and we're going to try to get the fuck up out of here. So as they go down to dinner, in comes Mr. B, right? He called himself Adam, but I'm going to keep it as Mr. B. Anyways, in comes Mr. B, right? He's just like, hey, my father, or Titus, which is someone in their bloodline. So not only does Mr. B come from this bloodline, also Atticus comes from this bloodline. Keep that in mind. Remember, they was piecing this together in the woods. So he gets up and he's basically like, hey, since my father gave da 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 da, I'm gonna gave himself up for the order, and basically he lost his life trying to do this ceremony thing. I'm gonna give a piece of myself up too. And remember, he went through surgery earlier, and they pulled out his spleen or whatever that nasty ass shit was, his kidney. I'm guessing it's his kidney because you can live without one of them. But I'm just like, whatever. So they done sliced up his kidney, they done passed it out, wanting somebody to eat it as if this is a communion. I'm like, boy, bye. So Atticus tells Uncle George, don't you eat that. So he's like, oh, thank everyone for coming, da-da-da. Uncle George stands up, you don't gotta thank us, because we ain't want to be the fuck here. You dragged us into this hole. Just like y'all did from Africa, y'all drug our ass over. Because y'all drug us over from Africa. We ain't want to be at this hole either. First of all, let me tell you that I know some stuff. So I read your book earlier. I know your bylaws, and I know that my nephew here, he is a part of this family. He has this bloodline, and when you're a part of the bloodline, that means that you hold some hierarchy. Remember the hierarchy you were talking about earlier? He holds some hierarchy, and if he says something, then these other members, they have to listen to him. So upon that cue, Atticus stands up, and he's like, I want everyone except for Samuel, because I'm thinking his name is Samuel Brathwaite. But we're going to keep it as Mr. B, right? I want everyone except for Mr. B to get the fuck up out of here. And at first, all of them, they sitting there they G's. They're like, well, we ain't going nowhere because I don't know who you talking about. We don't say right here. And then he, that was an order. So they all rise and they leave the room. So when they leave the room, Atticus is basically like, hey, since you want us to be down with the fuck shit, I'm down with the fuck shit. We know what's going on. I know what my lineage is. You need me, da 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 da. And Mr. B is basically like, don't confuse being useful as being indisposable. I will kill your punk ass. Don't get it twisted. And so next thing we see is Mr. B Mr. B. Next thing we see is Atticus and Uncle George. They run to the tower. They run down to the tower. Of course, there was a dungeon like Uncle George suspected, and they're down there looking around. They don't see his father, but they see something that belongs to his father. And so there's like, he knows his father was here. Here come the lady from the tower, remember with the 2 watchdogs? She'll come down. Oh, I told y'all about snooping around. My dog's about to have a real good feast tonight. And she has her shotgun. She cocks it. And out of the blue, here comes lady with a baseball bat. It wasn't a baseball bat, but with a shovel. And she hit the hole over her head. And she fall down to her destruction. At least she's passed out at this moment. So lady's like, I got the car. Let's get the fuck up out of here. And Uncle George was like, wait. Remember I told you, he's really good at stuff. I like him. He knows how to piece things together. So as he goes, he removes one of the stones from the tower, and there's a passageway. There's a throughway. So as they go through this passageway, I'm assuming we see these hands that are coming out of the ground or whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, what? Why are they coming out of the ground? And it's his father. It's Atticus's father. He's in shackles, if you will. He's locked up. Won't let him out. He's coming through the ground because he's escaping. And basically, he sees Atticus and Letty them, and he's like, what the fuck are y'all doing here? And Atticus is like, you wrote me. You said, now why would you come? I was under distress. I didn't think you would be stupid enough to come here and get yourself, entrapped in all of this shit just because I was under distress and I wrote something. You know what I mean? Like, he basically was saying, like, I know how to get myself out of this case, out of the situation. I wrote that in a moment of weakness. However, I wouldn't think you would be dumb to come get yourself in all of this trouble. However, Atticus is like, we're here now. Let's just get the fuck up out of here. So they get in the car. Letty's trying to unlock him, to release the cuffs up off of him. And as they're driving to get up out of here, as they're crossing the bridge, they run into something invisible, which was this force field that was put up, and essentially the whole car crashes and they're injured or whatever it could be. And then out of the blue, of course, here comes Mr. B and Christina. They pull up from behind them, and Mr. B is just like, you know what? Y'all keep trying to run away. I'm about to fuck some of y'all shit up. So he shoots Letty, which of course we know that's gonna cause great pain for Atticus. And so as he's there, he's like, don't go, Letty. Like, stay alive. Letty dies. Letty passes away. And then Mr. B turns to Atticus. He's like, hey, I'm gonna take another one of y'all and I'm gonna let you choose. Atticus is like, I gotta choose with my uncle, my father. And he's like, oh, you took too long. I'm gonna take your uncle, because your uncle's smart. He be getting y'all out of shit. So I'm gonna take his life too. So he shoots him. And Uncle George doesn't, we don't know this yet, but it's revealed in like 2 seconds. Uncle George doesn't die, but he's greatly injured and he's going to bleed out essentially just like Letty did if, don't go and get back to this ceremony that needs to happen. So then the next scene is we see this next scene. This next scene, though. So Christina's sitting down and we see Atticus is in the nude. He's naked as a motherfucker and looking. Jonathan Majors. I mean, what can we say other than damn? So he's in the nude and they're bathing, they're washing him, right? And I'm just like, okay, like this is it's really giving slave imagery, right? When they would clean us up so we could be sold and all that kind of stuff like this. And so they're cleaning him up. He's in a nude. And I'm like, Christina has one of the best seats in the house because, of course, he's facing this way and she's sitting right here facing. I'm like, I know she liked what she saw. But anyways, somebody she wanted to be friends. I bet you do. So, Atticus is basically like, okay, so what's going to go on in this ceremony? What is this ceremony about? And then basically she tells her, like, hey, my father wants to, open up the gates to the Garden of Eden, and he wants to restore his place as Adam and restore the hierarchy. And once he get into this place, he's gonna get everlasting, like eternal life, right? Where he can control things and put things in the way that he wants to have them put. And so they have this little conversation, little back and forth, and Letty gets up and Christina gets up and she gives Atticus this ring, and she's just pissed off, and she's like, you know what, you had to do nothing but be born a man to receive this ring, and I've been working my whole life and I can't even get it because I'm a woman. And he's like, he's like, at that, he's like, oh, and of all things, a black man. And it's kind of like this touche moment, like, even though I was born a man, had to be a black man in this scenario. So it still doesn't do me any good because I'm still being used. I'm still being objectified. I'm still being, y'all still treat me like a slave. Like this ain't no better than, you know what I mean? Like, we both got rights or whatever the case would be. But anyways, we get beyond that. And, now it's basically time for this ceremony to begin. But over on the other side, we see Uncle George, Letty, and Atticus's father. They're all in a room. And essentially, Uncle George spills the tea about Atticus being the last heir to the Brathwaites, and that I'm sorry, that's not what I was trying to say. In this room, we find out that Atticus' father, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that. We find out that Atticus' father may not be his father. We find out essentially that he's not his father. His father was like, I thought I told you never to speak of this again. And Uncle George is like, well, we might not have much time. Like, you must say something to him, right? Because at first he was trying to level with him and say, like, hey, you need to show more love to Atticus. Like, you need to, like, he needs that. He needs to know that you loved him. And the father was like, you don't got no fucking kids, which, I'm like, did he have that girl with this new wife? I don't know. Maybe some of this stuff would be revealed, but he probably didn't say you don't got no kids. But he was like, he didn't say you don't have no kids. He was like, I thought I told you to stop telling me how to raise my child, basically, in case it be. He didn't like it. And Uncle George is basically like, well, I'm gonna hit him with this news that you ain't his father. So I'm just like, okay, so then who is his father? I'm thinking like Uncle George's father, but I don't know. So it was like, so that's something we're gonna have to look forward to in these upcoming episodes, right? Right. So let me jump over to the ceremony. The ceremony starts. Atticus is clothed in his best clothing, right? They got him, and all of a sudden, Atticus is like in this triangle sort of thing, and like there's this electricity running through his body and running through these like three other like temple statue things or whatever I guess it be. And in this moment, remember I told you about that poem, right? From Gil Scott Heron. We hear it in the background. You hear it in the background, but then also they're all chanting. All these white men, right, from the dinner, that's a part of the order. They're all in there, and they're having their own chant as well. And as we see them chanting, the Garden of Eden starts to open it in Mr. B, played by Tony Goldwyn, who also fine as fuck. He smiled. He had this smirk on his face, like, oh, it's gonna work this time. It's gonna work this time. Child, don't like it's gonna work. Atticus is in extreme pain. He's yelling out. He's screaming out. And all of a sudden, we see the image of the black woman that's a part of Atticus's lineage that Uncle George was telling me about before. She's there. She appears out of nowhere, and she's basically like, this shit ain't about to go down the way they think it's gonna go down. So the building starts to collapse again. Remember before when they were being summoned off to lunch, William told them that this place had fallen before due to the last person who tried to do this. They were unsuccessful. So we realized that this is another failed attempt. I'm sorry, Mr. B, but you ain't strong enough to open up this Garden of Eden. You're not the chosen one. So this building's about to fall on you. So all of a sudden, the building, we see Letty checks on the door because the whole mansion is starting to rumble and shit is starting to like it's about to fall apart. The door opens. Letty's like, oh, let's get the fuck up out of here. And the dad's and Atticus's father's like, well, he's gonna bleed out if we leave. And she's like, well, we gotta go. So then they go and they escape. They start to escape. Next thing we know, all the white men in that room, they all turn to stone. They all turn to stone, and the building starts to fall, and including Mr. B. And the building something hits him, and he basically falls to a million pieces because he was turned into stone. And then we see the lady that's from Atticus's lineage that has appeared, right? She starts to run, like, get the fuck up out of here. Follow me, follow me, Negro. It reminded me of like Harriet Tubman in the Underground Railroad, but whatever. So she starts to run, and Atticus, he starts to run after her, right? And just as he gets out of the house after her, she disappears, and Atticus is free, but the whole mansion collapses. So everyone who was in that hole who didn't escape, y'all all dead, as far as we know. So he collides with Letty, and Letty's like, oh my God, you're alive. And she takes him over to the car where his father, Atticus's father and Uncle George were waiting. And he looks through the window, and Uncle George has. And I'm just like, no, because Uncle George, first of all of these characters are really well thought out and good and written well. And I'm just like, no, Uncle George is like, he's the Hermione. Like, we need him. Uncle George be figuring this shit out. So I'm just like, somehow, some way, Uncle George is going to have to be resuscitated. Like, I'm going to need him to be revived. I'm going to need some type of something to bring him back, because Uncle George knew what he was talking about. He was about that life too. So anyways, so basically, Atticus starts to cry, and that's how this episode ends. So this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. I really loved this episode. It was just written well. It was acted well. Like, watch, like, I promise you, like, my head, like, if Journey Smollett does not get award recognition next year, I'm gonna be pissed the fuck off, because she acts from her head to her toe. Like, just everything about her. Like, you watch her, and I don't care if you're male or female, as I know, and as some of y'all others should know, we all possess masculine and feminine energy. I carry both of mine, well. And I learned from women actors as well as male actors, and she's just an actor who works from top to bottom. Like, you just see everything. It's so vivid, and she's just lovely to watch on screen. I love everything she in. Underground, just everything. We grew up watching her since, like, Ease by You. But anyways, Journey Smollett can act her ass off. Also, I'm loving Jonathan Myers in this lead role. Jonathan Majors, he's brilliant. The guy who plays Uncle George, he's brilliant. I'm hoping we get more of him, even though he's passed away. Let's bring him back. But so that's all. So I'm lit. I'm ready. I'm ready for for episode 3 of this. It looks like we get 10 episodes in this season, so I'm ready for episode 3. I cannot wait. This is a really good show. This is the type of series that I would love to work on, write on, be on the set, acting. Like, this is the type of things that fuels me. So yeah, it's just good. It's just good television. So that's basically all that I have for you guys. I want to get up off of here. Oh, I want to note that as this episode was ending and the credits were starting to roll, and that final scene, I heard a familiar voice. I was like, wait, I know that voice. And it was none other than Alice Smith. She is fantastic. If you don't know who she is, go check her out, because she's an amazing musician, amazing singer. She's really great. Has just a very true and authentic and a voice that just pierces your soul. Like, go listen to her and you might have a few emotional moments. But there's a song that she was singing called Sinner Man that was going through the closing credits. Go check it out. It's really good. She's really good. Go check out some of her other stuff. Support her. She's fucking dope and fucking amazing. Also, like I said earlier, Gil Scott Heron. Go check out some of his other stuff, but also check out Whitey on the Moon, which is his poem / song, his spoken word. Right. Go check that out, because it's really good too. And I remember listening to it over 10 years ago. I heard this and probably 15 years ago at this point. But anyways, that's all that I got for you guys. Again, if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. Also, give this video a thumbs up. Also, stick around, come back, join this community. I love talking to you guys. I love engaging and talking about film and music and television, because this is really what this is. This is all of this stuff creatively is sort of like a conduit for me to express myself and to relieve my passion. So I appreciate having this space during this interim where it's sort of difficult to create it within such closed quarantine spaces where you can't be around people and yada yada yada. I'm just I had to do something, so I wanted to start this channel so I could still connect to people and reach people, because that's one of the things that makes me happy, is talking to people and engaging and getting to know people and them getting to know me and what I like. So anyways, I want to get up off of here. Again, I appreciate you guys for watching. Please stick around, as we will be reviewing and talking about this whole season. So yeah, I'm gonna get up off of here, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.